Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Terry at Holding Your Space, and this is Terry Suzuki. And Terry, you're streaming today too, aren't you?
Yes, so I'm simulcasting on my station or channel too, but I have asked everybody to come over here to join the chat.
Oh, that's a good idea. I love
Well,
that.
yeah, it's because that ever since they've started this simulcasting stuff, I once in a while will go watch shows of my friends like Sun Psychic Gene, and then I was there and I was chatting and I was lonely. Nobody was chatting back to me, and I realized, oh, it's because you're not on the right channel. You're not at the main chat.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I
oh,
always try to go to all the channels, like one on my phone, one on here, and then one on another. Yeah,
mhm,
it's
yeah,
just crazy. But
yeah.
let's say hello to Jeff at Tarot Ass Backwards. Annie Bear's here. She's walking and doing yard work. Fatima, good luck at the dentist today. Um, Wiki, hi Wiki, how are you? Kelly Healer's here. Kelly.
Oh,
Valerie S. Hi. Terry and Terry.
mhm.
Diana's here, oil painter.
Yeah. Hi,
Um,
Diana.
yeah. And Jessica Lynn. Hi, Jessica Lynn. Yeah, the Terrys are here. That's fun.
Yeah.
I love that. Well,
I have. Oh,
oh,
I
go
was going
ahead.
to say. I have to say that when I was growing up, and I'm a Terry. I'm not a Teresa. I'm a Terry, but it was a very rare name when I was growing up. Like maybe in the whole school, in elementary school, there was maybe one other Terry, and in the spiritual world, oh my gosh, so many Terrys.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. It's like a Valerie all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Valerie, Kelly. Yeah,
Hmm.
lots of us. There's, yeah, I'm a Teresa, but I was
Oh,
always called Terry unless I was in trouble, and then I was Teresa K. So, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for being here today and coming on the channel and your channel too. And I was gonna ask you about, um, well, number 1, we're going through so many changes right now on the planet, and the energy that's coming in can be kind of heavy. And so we talk a lot in our group about abiding in your body and in your heart space and your solar plexus and being aware.
hmm,
And I love that when you read, Terry, that you read on a stage, that you see life on a stage or you see the story coming about on the stage, because I think that is perfect for awareness, like watching yourself on the stage or in a movie.
hmm. Well, it's just kind of how when I was first learning, it's kind of like I think our teachers said, well, if it helps, think of this stage. And it like took on a life of its own. So it's now I read all the time on the stage. Now I don't have to be on the stage. They
Yeah.
can take me other places. It doesn't have to be there. But it's handy. It's a place I feel comfortable, you know. And so my stage doesn't look like a um, theater, like like in a high school production or something like that.
Yeah.
It is this kind of floating stage. It has like a white quartz floor, and it's kind of in a an arc shape. And all the way to the left, my angels and guides are hanging out there. They're just standing around waiting to be asked something. Then there's kind of a seating area, stadium seating, like that would show it would help me recognize the relationship to the person. But I'm finding that that area no longer hardly has seating on it. It's more like just an open area where the main event can take place. And then as we move towards the other side, there's like a little cave. That's for the spirit animals, because sometimes spirit animals are brought out or awarded or whatever. And then all the way to the right side, there's a small curtained area. And right back there is my great great grandfather Cooper and some other ancient ancestors. They're so ancient they don't look like they don't have a body. They look
Sure.
like a flame or like a feather kind of.
Yeah.
And they hang out there. They're the stage crew. If something needs to be brought out to me, they bring it. Um, so like one time I was somebody wanted me to read their past lives, and like they didn't really know what they wanted or anything. And my great grandfather, who is not a smiler, he came out just grinning. I was just like, wow, I don't remember ever seeing you smile, but brought this trolley out, and on it was a great big cake, a beautiful cake like you see on Pinterest.
Yeah.
And he sliced it. And I thought it looked like maybe a 5-layer cake, but when he sliced it and then put the slice on a platter for me, it was like 9 layers. And all the layers were different colors of cake, like strawberry, vanilla, chocolate, marble. And the lady just got to pick one that appeals to you. And then we went to that life, whatever that life represented. And but that's what they are. They're stage crew. They bring things out when I need it.
Oh
So
my gosh, I love that. So they, have a prop master and
yeah,
everybody's like, "Dang, that well, this
yeah.
is a lot bigger than I thought it was then, this
It's a
production."
very large area. It's
Yeah.
a very active area. Um, there for the longest time, I was just a viewer. I'm just standing in front of the stage watching the action. And then slowly over time, depending on what is necessary, there have been a few times that I got to get on the stage. And in this case, it was so that I don't remember the reading, but it was so that I could experience it as well. So I could tell what was happening to the person more thoroughly. And they moved me around the stage. I would find myself just jumping to one way, and I'm looking out at the audience, even though there's no audience. And then they're moving me and kind of telling me what to do, like I'm a puppet, kind of. You know? And so that was very interesting. It was able to see it from a different point of view and how it might feel to be on the stage and being read, and how that it kind of works. Like it was kind of in the inner workings a little bit.
So you're kind of, would you call that like abiding in their energy?
I think so, because I didn't have, I mean, I suppose I could have walked off the stage if I wanted to, but I found myself cooperating. So I must have been just abiding. And then them moving me around to interact in the way that they wanted me to show what was going on. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So I most of the time I'm viewing the stage. Sometimes I'm on the stage, taking the stage direction. Most of the time I'm not. Um, yeah, it's just a handy place, and it's so when I was on the stage, it looked like a theater production, like at a high school. It looked like that, wooden boards, curtains, pulleys. It looked like the whole shebang. But
Wow.
when I'm viewing, it doesn't. It looks very space age to me. So
So what does the quartz feel like? Like, do you get an energy from it? Because I think it's so interesting that it's a stone, a natural
you
stone.
know, um, I it's white quartz, by the way, too, which is a big deal for me. I love to garden, and when I garden, no matter where I start from, everything turns white. Every flower is going to be white. Um, and then I'll start over and try to plant some color in, and it'll eventually turn white. So I do love the color white a lot. And so it's white quartz, and I think it feels elevated. If the white quartz to me feels like it's floating, it's solid, but it's not. I don't see anything holding it up. Um, the time I've had to be on that stage, it felt very solid. So I guess for me, it kind of has a solidness and calling in that kind of white divine energy. I think that's
Yeah, and white contains all the colors.
right. All the colors.
Yeah, so it's such an all, universal, I guess,
Hmm.
full
Right.
spectrum color that, I love that it's white, and I love that you turn things white. This is very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything eventually turns white.
Wow. Wow. That's really interesting. I love that. Um, yeah. Oh, great question. Amanda Carroll says, "Would you
Oh,
tell us about Kingsgrove?"
Figaro. Yeah. So when I was thinking about my channel name, I felt like all the English words were used up. I couldn't think of anything clever whatsoever. And I thought, well, I do speak Japanese a little bit, not very well, but I do. So I do have another language available to me. And so I thought, well, my keyword, if you ever have watched any of my spiritual dreams, my keyword is joy. That's what if I hear anyone say anything about joy, it means pick up your ears and hear what they're saying, you know. And so I first was Googling, like, what is the Japanese word for joy? And it was super long. It was like nobody will ever be able to say that word or find me. And so I put in a few more, and pretty soon I put in lighthearted, and that is Kigaru. Kigaru is lighthearted. So lighthearted spiritual
Um,
journeys. Um, so I was just led to it by spirit, the word Kigaru. And I thought it's short. People can say it, people can maybe
yeah.
remember it. But later on, after I came out to my husband and told him what I was doing, because I didn't tell him right away. Yeah, I've been married to him 30 years, and I'd been in the closet for at least 26 of those. So, and one day I was sitting on the couch, and he was in the other room, and he was kind of talking to me. He's like, "Did you mean to be clever?" I'm like, um, I kind of wanted to say, yes, I'm clever, but I'm like, about what? Because I'm thinking, what? I'm probably not clever. And he said, well, you chose the word kigaru. That's pretty clever. I'm like, why would that be clever? And he said, well, think about it, Teri. Your last name is Suzuki. So what people need to know is Japanese is syllabaric. They don't have T and then R. It's not like our alphabet. Their alphabet is syllables, so it's Su, Zu, Ki. These are
Oh.
all different alphabetic syllables. He says
Mhm.
you have a Ki in your name, but that Ki means old soldier, and I knew that. He said, but Kigaru also has a key. What key do you think it has? And I'm like, I don't know. And he says, it's the same key as Reiki. It's light-hearted healing. It's all about light-hearted healing and stuff. So I'm like, oh, well, I didn't mean to be clever, but thank you for telling me that.
That
So
is
like,
fascinating.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, do you do Reiki also? Are you a
no,
healer as well?
I am a healer, but I don't do Reiki. I
Yeah.
haven't learned Reiki.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I I just feel I always feel lighthearted. I a long, long time ago, before I mean, I already knew some of these gifts that I had from a child, but before I ever understood that spirit guides, angels are talking to me. Um, it was back, I was getting divorced, so it was like late 80s. And of course, it was hard. And I'm a single mom of that time with 3 kids. And so it was really hard. And I remember just worrying and I must have been worrying a little too much. Because, so I was going to go get some groceries. I was headed towards the door. I had my purse and my keys in my hand. And then I heard a voice say, Teri, we only want one thing of you. And I'm like, okay. And to this day, I don't understand how I thought that was so completely normal. It wasn't like I was hearing them all the time or anything, but it didn't freak me out in any way, shape, or form. And I had been worried about religion because my ex-husband was very religious, very, very
Um,
ultra, like evangelical, holy roller, speaking in tongues, the whole shebang. And I had grown up Catholic, which is not exactly like that.
yeah.
Um, and so I think I was worried, like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I going to go with this? Or should I keep going to church? Should I not? I was just really into it. And I just heard this voice say, Teri, we only want one thing of you. And I'm like, oh, really? One thing? Well, that sounds easy. What is it? And they said, God only wants you to be happy. Choose happiness. Just choose it. It's a choice. You can choose to be happy in all instances, and that is the only thing that we want of you. And I'm like, that's easy. That's way easier because he, like the religion he was in, you had to go to church so many umpty times a week. It was just mind blowing. And I said, I can do that. I choose happiness. And I've chosen happiness the rest of my life, always.
I love that you consciously chose happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
even when things are awful, you can still be happy.
you can, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing, and that's so poignant right now in particular, I think, because well, it's always poignant, it's always important, but, I think right now there's so much going on the planet, and there's some chaos politically and wars and whatnot, and, floods and things. And it's really easy to get caught up, especially if you're an empath and all
Mm-hmm.
the energy of the planet and what's going on the outside, not what's and not abiding in your heart space and your joy, your wonder,
Mm-hmm.
and your inner child. And um, that's amazing that you were able to take that at that time and go forward with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what also was amazing is I wasn't immediately, when hearing that, putting up walls saying, I was just like, okay, okay, you
Wow.
know.
Yeah. So did you have like, when you were growing up, was your grandmother or your mom, were there any or father, were there any, um, people that were in this movement or had the gift, of an intuition or healing?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did, it had already been beaten out of them by society. But from childhood, I could see angels. They would be like sitting by my bed every night. So I'm like, talking to them, and they were entertaining me sometimes. And, so I thought that was really normal. So I never told anybody. Um,
What did they
and
look
then
like, Terry?
I remember my mom, my poor mother, probably had such a hard time raising me because I remember one time walking from one bedroom through the den and she was mad at me and she was saying something like, when you, I don't know why we were talking about this. She's like, well, people die. And I'm like, oh, really? And she's like, so you can't do that because you could die. And I'm like, why would that be important? Because when you're dead, you die, you're gone, you're forever. And something inside of me back then, another person Now I know, like a spirit guide or something, Pete popped up right away and said, "Hey, where are we going to go then? If that, that can't be true, because where would we go?" And I'm like, that's a good question. you know? And then went on. And I remember other times walking through this same hallway where she would be like, if you don't do that, that's a sin. God will hate you forever. And I remember going, like, holding my hand up, which wasn't a thing back then. I'm like, that's not the God I remember. Nope. And walking on. And
Wow.
she probably was just like, what's wrong with this child?
Right?
Yeah.
Um, you must have taught her a lot of things. Did she kind of
She
soften?
she did not really soften, but she
Yeah.
did soften in certain areas. Because I also, ever since I was a kid, could talk to dead people. So anyone in my family who died would come and talk to me about 2 weeks later. Um, of all the children, so we had a big Catholic family of five,
Yeah.
and
Widow.
I'm the oldest. I am the one that has never been to any of my grandparents' funerals. She never took me to a funeral, or I was never allowed to go to a funeral until about age 18. So, yeah, I think she knew something was up with me, you know,
Oh.
and
So
just don't take her to that. She'll probably then be, who knows, maybe I would have been talking to them out loud in front of people and they would have thought I was crazy. So, I don't know. I just wasn't allowed to go. So the other
yeah.
brothers and sisters went. So
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. So if you go to a funeral now, what does it look like? What does it sound like? Is it a full house?
um well, I do have a rule. So
Mhm.
ever since I learned that we can set rules, so I have only been to a funeral since I've set rules. And I mean that one at 18, but not any since then, except for my cousin. I already set a rule. No, they can't talk to me at the funeral. They can talk to me before, after, not during, no corpse reanimation, no, that would freak me out. So they can't do anything that freaks me out. So
Yeah.
it just seems like a regular place. I feel the love in the air. I mean, I just kind of feel it all around me, how the people that loved that person, that, um, yeah, I just feel the love, feel some of the sorrow. Um, but at my cousin's funeral, that's when I recognized I had this soul contract with my other cousin, and I was vibrant. I was having a hard time at the funeral because I was so freaking happy. I was so happy for her to get to go to leave this body of pain, because she was in a lot of pain. Going back up, I was so happy. I recognized she set this up so I could meet him. I had never, even though he was my cousin and we were way old, I had never met him in person yet. And so I was just in awe of all these things that had to come together to bring me there to do this. So I was probably grinning like an idiot the whole time. So I was trying really hard to look like you're supposed to look like at a funeral, rather than me just smiling like, oh my God, this is so wonderful.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Terry, because I feel the same. I mean, at a funeral, I hear him cracking jokes and kinda dancing a lot with the music. Like, the music is just a beautiful
Right,
crescendo of energy.
right. It's a
Um,
big party that day. It's a big party.
it is a big party that day, and I'm always so happy to be there, and I
Hmm.
love I grew up Catholic too, and I love the, pageantry of the
Hmm.
mass. I like the
Hmm.
bells, I like the kneeling, I like the standing and
Hmm.
the chimes, and the crystal and goblets and
Mhm.
things. I just think it's very similar to Buddhist ceremony or Hindu ceremony.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Her
yeah.
her ceremony happened at the Mormon church. She was Mormon,
Oh,
and,
interesting.
it was still the most wonderful thing I've ever been at. It was
Yeah.
just the love that was there was intense. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Just beautiful. Right, Diana? Yeah, the pageantry. It's so pretty.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love I do like a bit of pageantry.
I do too. And I love, the chanting or saying the Our Father, which is another mantra, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
the Hail Mary is beautiful, beautiful. Um, so when spirit comes in and talks to you or shows you things, what does that look or feel like? Like, what senses are you using? Or are you? Are you knowing?
I'm more claircognizant, so I have a knowing. Um, it just depends how so when we're bringing spirit in like this, um, in general, I have this fizzy, buzzy thing happening. Like when I was getting ready for this show and doing my meditation, I was a little bit late, so I was kind of hurrying it, but it really didn't matter. I just started this buzzy fizziness. Um, and when I go to, so I go to a lot of these in-person fairs. In fact, I have read Amanda Carroll in person. She's lovely. And Wiki,
Wow.
they live
Oh,
around me. And when I go to these in-person fairs, because that there are a lot of other like-minded people there, the buzzy fizzy energy is huge. I actually feel like I'm shaking inside my whole body. I mean, probably if you looked at me, I'm probably not shaking, but I I feel like I'm looking like this when I'm there, like I'm completely vibrating.
wow.
Um, and then sometimes spirit just takes me by complete surprise. Like one time, and this was before I understood all this too. My mother had died, and my mother, we've already talked about it. She was not the most pleasant person in the world, somewhat abusive. And
Um,
I remember I was the executor of her estate. We were trying to clean her house. We were trying to do stuff, and I was mad. And I talked to now. My sister doesn't believe any of this, but I'm like, you know what? When we get together and decide to come back again in the next life, mom can't be on our team. She's not on the team. I said that. So obviously, I had heard the concept before. I wouldn't have put it together. And my
yeah.
sister turned around. Now, my sister was way more abused by my mom. She had way more reasons to not want her on the team than I did. And probably because they were so very alike that they just butted heads even more. She whipped around and talked to me and she said, well, maybe you need to learn a little bit more patience or something like that. But I was, because I knew that wasn't my sister talking at all. It was God talking through my sister. And I was just like, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow.
But I
That's
knew immediately, I didn't tell
amazing.
her because she wouldn't have understood then that God just spoke through her. But I recognized it right away. It was like, it was, oh, yep, uh-huh, yes,
That
yes,
was a direct hit, man. Just
yeah,
bam. Yeah, hit you over the head with it. I love those.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'm just open to it. People, who knows when God's going to talk to you or the angels or spirit or, and I don't even know if we can just call it God anymore, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different names, aren't there, and feelings to it.
right, yeah. But
Um,
that one there was no buzzy feeling or anything. It was just kind of a, okay, you know, I get it.
that's funny. That's amazing that you recognized it at that age.
Mhm.
So, especially, I think sometimes when we're going through the depth of or the shadow moment or
Mhm.
a growth opportunity, I like to call them.
Right.
Um, and sometimes they're effing growth opportunities, right? Like they
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
down and dirty.
Right.
And and all of a sudden you just get that awareness that comes in that's clear as anything because everything out here has fallen apart. So there's nothing left to
Mhm.
kind of buffer.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like that, just
Yeah. Well,
it's like
I love your term buzzy fizziness.
fizzy, fuzzy, buzzy. Yeah. It's kind of
I'm gonna
a fizziness.
a fizziness. I'm gonna keep that. I'm writing this down because Terry, I love this. Um,
It's like a vibration. It's,
yeah,
you know,
it's so true.
yeah.
It's so true. It kind of comes in for me, I think sometimes when I'm getting big hits, it comes in through the crown and then it
Mhm.
just spreads out throughout. And if I'm really hitting something, it goes down my spine to my feet. But
Wow.
do you ever feel like you're gonna levitate when that happens?
Yes, yes.
Right?
There are times, like, when I'm reading certain people, like, I was it was a personal reading, and at one point, I had to, like, reach down and, like, put my fingers under my butt to make sure I was still on the chair. I felt like I was not actually touching the earth, and,
Yeah.
that's happened several times, even reading on YouTube where that maybe we get a hit that and not just me, usually my friends, that's so intense that I feel like I'm being drawn up. Um, and that definitely happens when I'm at the in-person fairs. I feel like like one time I read somebody and I recognized that her disabled son was more than that. The disabled son was some sort of spiritual being, and that she was the spiritual being had agreed to come to a life in that way to experience that life that couldn't really communicate well, couldn't, was really, really hampered by the body. And but he was huge. The second I turned into her soul, because he was sitting with us, I could feel him. He was huge in her job, her whole mission. I already knew our mission when I trapped in was to help him through this life. He wouldn't have a very super long life, but that she agreed to guide him on, to shepherd him through it and on to the next. And on the next, he's I don't know, maybe will become an angel or something big, 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 big. And I felt like after reading them, I felt like I almost wanted to like get a rope and tie myself to the chair. Feel like I
Right?
fly off.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard an interesting premise recently about this and saying that it's so hard for some entities that are from a very high dimension to come into the physical form that and into this heavy dimension, of 3D. So so hard that a lot of times they need something like this to kind of anchor them for a while.
Mm,
Not feeling those senses, which I think is the case a lot of times with a lot of kids that have come in Gen Z on the spectrum or
mhm,
something, and
yeah,
I know our whole family, we've got anything you want, ADD, ADHD, autism, I mean, learning disabilities, gifted, blah, 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 blah. But
mine too.
everybody's quirky and I just love it.
Mhm,
So I like quirky for sure.
yeah. It was
Um,
it that was one phenomenal reading. That was one really if I had a rope with me, I would have probably put one end around my hand and one end around the chair leg.
Interesting, interesting. So do you ever try to, levitate?
No, I've never I mean, I think when I was younger, like a kid, I tried it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not, hmm, I may have to try it again now that you're suggesting that it's possible.
Maybe that's another show. Quite a stage there, huh?
Yeah.
Um, and I am starring some questions, you guys. If anybody has any questions, and Sonia, I think if you're still here, dear, I owe you a question. So I wasn't able to get to
In
you last time.
in fact, I see Priscilla from the Crone Zone here.
Hi,
She
Priscilla.
was the one had me grabbing my butt.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Foxy Roxy says, Terry, I understand that sentiment. It took me 6 months before I cried for my mother after she passed. I felt nothing for a long time. Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my mother, I'm glad you said that. I think it took me quite a long time to cry for my mother, but also because that it, believe it or not, my mother facilitated me discovering this, that we could actually do something with it. And she, on the when she was alive, was the one that would have said, "It's from the devil, don't do it." She would have been so against this. And yet she's the one that facilitated me getting to here. She put it into my thought area, or my guides. I don't know, somebody else. I had to go to this thing called tea and tarot. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to that. That's bad. That's bad. And they kept saying, oh, yes, you are. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not as bad. As I'm filling out the form to buy the ticket online, no, I'm not going. But I felt that. And then I went there in the car and I sat in the car a long time. I'm not going in. They're like, yes, you are. You are going in. And then when I went in, my mother spoke to me through the tarot cards, which I had never seen in my life, you know,
Wow.
and basically saying, I made a mistake. It's all real. And you're going to do all this. This it's fine. Keep going. I'm like, oh my God. I had to set that down for about a year and then started taking classes. Had to sit with that for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. I kind of feel the same. Well, I have someone in particular that passed in my life that was abusive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to grieve sometimes, right? There has to be a space there
Mm-hmm.
before you see them as a light being and grieve the loss, not just the abuse.
Yeah. Well,
So,
the funny thing was, the reason I was going to the tea and tarot, the question I wanted to ask is, why am I so disconnected? I
um,
used to feel the spirit guides. I used to talk to the people on the other side. I feel so lonely. Why am I disconnected? What happened? And that was going to be my question. Now, here's the funny thing. Right after she died, my mother wouldn't shut up. In my right, just yapping like crazy. So I'm going there to ask the question, why am I so disconnected? Could you shut up a moment, mom? Shut it so I can, like mom's not a spirit. I completely, that went right over my head. I'm just kind of like, shut it, mom, so I can hear the spirit, you know. And I had accidentally disconnected it. I had decided that my diabetes is what I was really feeling because I when you have a
oh,
diabetic attack or kind of a lowness, it feels
mhm,
very much like what we're doing right now. And I
yeah,
was thinking, well, maybe I've never been connected to spirit all my life. Maybe I've just been diabetic. And it turned it off. And
yeah,
so, except for my mother, it turned it off with the exception of my mother's voice. And and then once I realized that, because after getting that reading, I realized it. I was like, oh, I turned it off. And then I asked for forgiveness and turned it back on. and it all came back on. Yeah.
Wow. So when you would go for readings, would everybody ask, "Who's that woman behind you?" With your
That's the
mom?
only reading I ever went to. Because
Oh,
remember, from my family's perspective, that's all of the
ah,
devil.
yeah,
So so
interesting.
I've only had proper readings now from my friends online, and yeah.
Oh, that is very interesting. Yeah. Um, After my husband died, because you're so busy, right, with
Mhm.
kids and business and
Grief.
working,
Yeah.
mortgage and things like that, a friend of mine took me to a psychic fair. And I had grown up doing past life readings and things, and like you, I thought, "Oh, that's all in the past, seeing angels, nah, must have been
Mhm.
just something." And, um, and everybody would always ask me, "Who is that guy behind you?" But it's it's funny, when we went to the psychic fair, there was an NRA rally and a lot of it was the time that, 45 was running, and it was just the same energy. It was a parallel universe at the hotel. One side was the psychic fair and the other side was the NRA and
Oh my God.
all these flags and machine guns and stuff. It was quite interesting. But
Wow. That
yeah,
that that just sounds like confusion, but that could be also really cool. I mean, you know.
you wonder if it helped, right? If it helped the people on the other side, and I don't
Mhm.
know.
I would wonder, and
Yeah,
I can almost see in that spiritual look that almost like their excitement to be there and be part of their thing almost could, you could almost lift off of that too.
yeah, yeah. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, Wiki, who would book those 2 events? I don't know. I think somebody was pretty funny. I think maybe it was Spirit having a joke, you
Could
know?
They're funny. They are funny.
Yeah, so how does that come across? Because I feel like Spirit's always hilarious.
They sometimes make me laugh at inappropriate times. When I'm supposed to be so actually this is a good example. I recently learned how to read the Akashic records for other people. I've always been able to read my own since I knew about them, but now I've learned how to read other people's. And I've noticed that when you're over there in that very, very intense energy, it's just the quantum field that we all have around us, that we're all, you talked about that energy coming towards your head. That's just the quantum field. The Akashic field is in the quantum field. They're almost one and the same. I've noticed that my classmates either want to cry because the love that we feel is so intense, they are very loving, or we want to laugh. And it makes me want to laugh. I just the when we got the attunement, that I was just giddy, so happy. And then when I went to bed, I would be sleeping, and then I'd wake up a little, I'd be oh, and go back to sleep. And every time I woke up, I was like laughing.
I love that.
So I don't know. So spirit either makes me want to laugh or want to cry half of the time. So
And this is, the other Val that gives
yes,
this
Val
message.
Klingenbeck. Oh my gosh, yes. She
Yeah.
has an Akashic record class coming up and one in October too. And it's wonderful. It's only 2 hours and it's not very expensive.
What's her, channel is Butterfly
It's
Dragons or Butterfly.
Dragonfly Crystals. And I
That's
think it's
right.
dragonflycrystals.store is her. Um, oh, look, Annie Bear. I wake up laughing sometimes.
Right?
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's just hilarious. They crack me up. And the music. Do they send you, silly songs when you're doing a reading or anything?
Sometime I'm not big on music. I
Yeah.
always forget it, and then suddenly like, "Oh, that's music. That's nice. How could I forget that?" Um, but so sometimes they send me songs. Most of my friends, like Sun Psychic Jean, get songs all the time.
Yeah.
But so I just once in a while get it, and they're usually fun. That they're fun or funny, or they're trying to get you to say one line. Um, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do you get a lot of songs?
Yeah, some days I do. Some days I get a lot
Mm,
of songs, and other times I see people dancing and whatnot, but, and that claircognizance, that's
mhm,
probably my strongest is just the knowing, and I think when you just know things, it's kinda hard, I had this conversation with somebody today, and she has young children, and she is running on adrenaline because going to school, she's working, she's got the kids, um, and I we were having this conversation of how she'd been on adrenaline overload in this group that we're in, and we're all intuitives, and I said, "You know, to be a female empath, it's hard work because you know what needs to be done ahead of time. You anticipate it. It's hard to kind of, when you've got a family and everything going on, to recognize that and just be aware and stop. Because there's a part of you knowing, oh, I know something's coming up and we're going to have this, this, and this taken care of for the kids.
right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. That is intense, and I don't have little kids around right now, and even my grandkids are teenagers now, so there's not a lot of little kid energy. But I'm finding that I'm still not off the hook. Like I'm trying to get rid of the ivy in my yard. I have a huge ivy hedge, and I'm trying to pull it out, and it's on the neighbor's side of the fence, and I wanted their permission to go over and take it off, but I'm like, dang it, they're not home from their honeymoon yet.
Oh,
So I'll just have to wait till they get. Nobody told me they're on a honeymoon. No, but I don't even know. I never spoken to them before ever.
right?
And when they finally got back, and I went and knocked on the door and asked their permission to go into their yard and remove the ivy, he said, "Oh yeah, you can." He said, "Wow, I can't believe you caught us. We just got back from our honeymoon." And I'm like, "Oh, fancy that!" Even though I knew, I already knew.
It should, yeah, right, Sharon? We can all relate to that. I think there need to be a set of rules for, energy now and
Mhm.
energy workers, light workers. Um, oh, how sweet. Um,
It's because I
you
have
look
the
like a
leaves are like
fairy.
right coming out of my hair.
That is perfect. Well, let's grab a couple of questions,
Okay.
while we're here. I love that. Um, so let's see here. Um, Sonia says, I would love to hear from Daniel.
Daniel. Okay.
Sonia, is Daniel, a, if you could just state what he is to you, like your grandfather or a brother, or, and what else would you like there, Terry? Is that good?
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be nice to know if his relationship to her.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And if he's been passed for a long time or a short time helps sometimes too.
and Sonia, I did receive your email, and I am going to reply to you. So, sorry.
No, it's good. Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay. We were going to be married and he passed in
Mm.
2011. I'm so sorry, Sonia. Um, Sonia, um, the first thing that he came in with was a big heart and XXX, you know, kiss, 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 hug, hug, hug. So I'm glad that it was somebody that you had that type of relationship with. And he's singing this song, Such a Love Is Us. What kind of love is this? Or what kind of love are you? It's like a Roy Orbison type ballad. And then he's showing me Roy Orbison and his, Roy had the big glasses and he wear all black and the black hair, but that a really commanding presence that he has still. And Daniel and um, something about music on the other side that he's enjoying and listening to, and something about Johnny Cash. So he's got a lot of musicians coming in with him, and he's serenading you. So I don't know if you ever feel that while you're alone or tired. If you hear a song come in, and he's saying, "This is his gift to you." He's sending in this music.
That's lovely.
It's
Well,
really
for some
beautiful.
reason on my stage, he immediately, I'm like really close to the stage looking at his feet. And as I'm down there, I notice that they're kind of showing me a landscape. And so they're making me feel um, really of the earth. And to me, when I see it like that, it makes me feel like salt of the earth. That this person was a good salt of the earth kind of person, a person you could kind of count on.
Yeah.
And as I look more at his feet, he's wearing like these gray shoes with black leather bindings and laces and stuff like that. And his feet are in the dirt. He's got these shoes on. He's ready to go, and he's kind of letting me know it wasn't meant to be. I'm sorry. He's first of all, he's apologizing. I'm sorry it wasn't meant to be, but that doesn't mean that we can't go through life together. So these shoes, then I see him walking down the path, and basically he's saying, I'm going to walk down the path with you, even though I'm over here, you're over there, and you will not always be alone, but you will never be alone over here. I will be on this path with you. And I just see him walking. I see the little bit of dust coming up as he's walking, and that he will always be in the background supporting you. Which, now that I think of it, kind of feeds back to that salt of the earth kind of guy. So there we go.
Yeah. That I'm looking up a couple of Roy's songs, and um, that crying song that he wrote, "Crying Over You." I
Oh,
mean, he's got in Dream Baby, but yeah, it'd be interesting if that.
yeah.
Yeah, you hear the songs. Beautiful. Yeah,
Oh,
beautiful messages from him.
yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. What a beautiful energy, Sonia. Um, Valerie, I love the stage. May I have a reading if possible?
Okay.
Tyler says hi.
Wow. So the moment I tuned into your energy, my stage is full of your spirits and guides and angels and beings of light and all the beings that are supporting you. They're all there and they have come to my stage as if, yeah, like one of them brought a cake, like that cake I told you about. One of them's got music instruments. One, I mean, they're acting like it's the biggest celebration in the world. And they're just happy. They're saying, we're here for you. We're here for you. Every day is a celebration with you. And that's really for all of us. Every day is a celebration for us all the time. And in particular, though, they're celebrating that you are making lots of strides spiritually, that you are working on right now, that you're hard at work at controlling your thoughts. Like, um, the way they're doing this is they're kind of making me aware of one of my neighbors that annoys the bejesus out of me. And I have to control my thoughts and like, okay, love to him, even though I don't like him, as I love to him, but they're saying you are doing this. You have started to learn that your thoughts have energy. Your thoughts are, things that can manifest, things that can make happen, and that you're starting to learn to guard them and guide them. Good job. Good job. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Tyler was
It
barking, and
looks
I thought
good.
it's easier for everybody. So, there's so much love for you coming in, and there's a lot of winged ones coming in, and I think that's your guides, your angels coming in. But also, birds bring messages from heaven back and forth. So that's a good way of you getting messages and giving messages to your guides. So I get that you're working on that. And they also showed me an airplane. So there's like, I don't know if you're doing astral travel or traveling in your dreams, but you're working. So you're going places. And then I heard this song, "There's gold in them hills and it's waiting for you there." So I think this is like a golden opportunity, golden heart mantra, which is, of course, the divine feminine is Mary and Jesus, that beautiful golden heart and 14th chakra. So beautiful, Valerie. Really amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah.
And then uh, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did somebody say something? Oh, Valerie said, "Thank you. It's been a tough the last 5 years. My brother passed a few months ago, and I still have a hard time with it."
Mhm.
Oh, Valerie, um,
Yeah.
he's on your team, honey. You have so much energy behind you and
Yeah.
working with you.
Yeah. You have
Yeah.
a big team, a big team.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could feel that and ride that energy, because that's
Mhm.
amazing. I mean, it's major head thing going on for me.
Yeah.
So, um, okay. And Jessica Lynn, may I have a message from my spirit team if there is time? We have just time for this one, I think. Um,
I am getting a lot of images, but I don't quite understand what they mean. They first were showing me like lobsters, cooked lobsters, and then kind of like the coast of Maine a little bit, um, as if there's a big party going on. Like, but it feels like this party is like not up in heaven like the last reading, but this party's on earth. Like maybe something's happening this month, where that maybe your family is all getting together. Okay, so what is this for Jessica? Why are you showing me this for Jessica? Take time to have some fun. Take time to create experiences with your loved ones here. Ah, okay. Even though that these loved ones that are around you or your family or the people you could party with are not all of the like mind, um, maybe some of them don't like that you're very spiritually oriented, or maybe, I mean, there's just some hard, a little bit of hard feelings I can see. But they want you to go out of your way to go ahead and meet with them. Go ahead, even though it's one of those things you're thinking, should I, shouldn't I? They're like, make the memories because oh, you're sending out your vibrations, even if you're feeling like you are not um, getting it across to them. They're showing me that it goes across and it goes into them, even if they don't change right away. Your um, your spirit, your uplifted spirit, the fact that you're already vibrating a lot higher than them is affecting them. And even if you don't have a great time, it's like you're dropping a stone into a pond and these ripples are going out. And they would like you to do that.
I love that because a lobster, that hard shell, you know,
Oh,
the crustaceans, that
mhm.
hard shell and the rocky beaches of
Ah,
Maine, it makes a lot of sense.
mhm,
Yeah, not many like-minded people around, right?
mhm,
And I loved your metaphor of the ripples in the lake or the ripples in the water because I often see that for relationships. Like you've got your center, and that's you.
mhm,
And there's not many people that can get close to that center, but you can have other, like a bullseye, like you can have other rings around you that you can let, like that person's good for a movie, this person's good for a phone call, this person's good for, going to the psychic fair or whatever. So different events for them. Um, and they showed me. So I was really drawn to your mandala, Jessica, and they're showing me you going in and out. So it's like you go into this deep state of consciousness and then come out, and sometimes that could be a little dizzy for you. So to be sure and ground, they're also saying something about the Gayatri mantra. So I don't know if you're practicing this mantra, but it's I have the mandala right here on my wall, and to go ahead and listen to that, or you might already be working with it. Meditation, and I get that you're very spiritual, um, and something about the medulla oblongata, which is at the base of your skull, and that has a lot to do with when you're working with the Kundalini energy. You can tell I'm from Missouri, the Kundalini energy. So when you're working with Kundalini, so and healings, so um, and joy and wonder. I love that. Um, just what you were talking about, also, Terry. That take time to be here when you're here, and when you're going in and out. You know, make sure that you see the little things here on the planet because it's so much fun to be up there, man. You have, yeah, find it. RogerGabriel.com. He's got, he's an amazing mantra master and he has free on his website. Amazing. Anyway, yeah.
And
So,
could you repeat his name?
Roger Gabriel.
Okay.
And he used to
I'll
be, yeah, yeah. And I can, let me see. I'm not sure that I'll get it spelled properly because I have a ADD and LD. But he's an amazing, I think that's right, Roger Gabriel. It might be AL.com. So, oh, okay. Anyway, I guess my internet connection's going in and out. So, RogerGabriel.com, and I'll post it in the on this. Yeah, yeah, really nice, Jessica. Beautiful, beautiful work. So everybody, thank you, Janet C. That is correct. Roger Gabriel. Yeah. He was with, he does a lot of work with the Chopra Foundation, and I do stuff with them. And then he also was with Maharaji when he was here. So with TM, the founder of TM. So really been at it for a little bit of time. Anyway, well, everybody, thank you for being here, Teri. Gosh.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun, wasn't it? Amazing. Amazing. So, everybody, if you haven't already subscribed to Teri's channel and Teri's channel, please do on either side of the network there. So, what do you have coming up this week?
I am going to read Thursday with Mark the Spirit Whisperer on Allie Martin's Heart and Soul.
I
And
love
then
Mark.
I'm reading on her same channel on Sunday at 10. And that's what I'm going to do for now. I think that's about what I know so far.
Wow. Well, that sounds great. Okay.
Yeah.
I have Reverend Saul will be on today. He's out of the hospital and he's a favorite. He's an American shaman and crystal healer, and he also does mantras. He specializes in mantras. So he will be on at 5 o'clock today, Central. And what else? And I can't remember what else is going on the rest of the week. I think I'm with and Kim and the two of you on Sunday, her Sunday show. So I'm real excited about that. But
fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. So and I love Mark and Nally. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, have a fantabulous night and week, and we'll see you later. Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Namaste. Our light sees your light.